Aloha, I'm Dr. Sean Delaney with Kalani Total Health Center. Today we're going to continue talking about shoulders, and we're talking about shoulder pain and the types of shoulder pain, or what are some of the more common shoulder pains that affect us. One of the most common ones are these things, the itises, when you hear that, like osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, tendonitis, bursitis. These are all primarily inflammation-related conditions. So more specifically to osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, what you're getting is a constant, or let's just say a continual or gradual wearing away of that joint tissue. And what happens over time is then they start to rub, and they, any two things that rub together are going to do what? Cause friction. That's going to lead to pain, stiffness, inflammation, swelling. Not a lot of fun, and very what we call achy and cranky joints. You're not going to be happy with that. But like I said, tendonitis is another one of these things. The tendon is the part of the muscle that attaches to the bone. So when you start getting some changes, these arthritic changes to the bone, and then creating inflammation, you're trying to move it, the muscle can create a tendonitis type condition where the tendon gets inflamed, and it just, like I said, further increases the pain in the shoulder, increases the swelling in the shoulder, makes it harder to move the shoulder. These are injuries that are very, very common in overhead type athletes. You're people who throw the ball, tennis racket, I play tennis and I'm hitting constantly overhead stuff. Maybe you're construction workers that are working overhead with the screwdriver, or they're hitting it with a hammer. These are the type of repetitive type injuries that are happening that typically cause some type of tendonitis type of pain. Another one that affects it is a true rotator cuff injury. Now, rotator cuff injuries are the most common type of injury. The most common injury, though, or cause of an injury is some type of tendonitis or inflammation. But the most common type of injury, like I said, is a rotator cuff injury, and that can be something directly related to the muscles that make up the rotator cuff. It can now be tendonitis, it can be a strain, it can be a tear of one of the tissues that make up the rotator cuff muscles. Here's an interesting thought about that. Almost half the people who have a shoulder pain are going to have some type of tear in their shoulder, and a lot of these people have one of these rotator cuff tears without any pain. They didn't even know they had it. So that's interesting. Another one that's in that same itis family is bursitis. Now, bursa is in the shoulder joint. It kind of coats the joint. It's a little fluid-filled sac. It gives us some lubrication as well as protection from impact. But when you start getting arthritis and things like that happening, and you're creating friction in there, well, that can wear on that bursa site and inflame that, make the bursa get inflamed. Now you really got limited range of motion and increased pain. And this is another one of those overuse type of injuries that's usually when we see a bursitis case. It kind of follows that overuse type pattern. Another one can be an impingement syndrome. Now, this one is not fun because you're getting a situation where the space itself has gotten smaller, and every time you move, it pinches on the bursa, it pinches on the tendon or muscle. It can be bursitis, tendonitis, inflammation related, some type of change to the bone structure with the osteoarthritis or the rheumatoid arthritis. It will sometimes have a tear of one of these muscle tissues. All of that combined together creates this impingement syndrome, and that severely limits your range of motion, or you'll have a lot of pain when you go to move. Last one I want to briefly talk about, which is another real common one, is frozen shoulder. You may have heard somebody say this or seen it on TV. Oh, I got a frozen shoulder. The clinical name for that is adhesive capsulitis. That means the ball has the joint itself gets inflamed, and it just kind of just shrinks the whole joint or just clamps down on the joint per se, creating a situation where the shoulder will not move. And it's just like any type of movement is extremely painful. So now you got very stiff, very limited range of motion. And this type of condition requires a lot of attention because this thing can go on for a long time if left untreated. And so you want to get some help to try to thaw out that shoulder as fast as you can. Give us a call, schedule a consultation. Let us help you discover why you're in pain and what is the root cause of that pain. Like I said, I'm Dr. Sean Delaney, Kalani Total Health Center, your one-stop holistic health shop. Mahalo.